people tend, even though we've moved beyond the simple metaphor of the left and right hemisphere of the cerebral cortex as a way of identifying people, it's still useful language to talk about two tendencies which are pretty easy to identify. If we take the simplest level, many people are detail focused. They're linear in their orientation. They like lists. They like top-down hierarchical thinking. And a lot of other people are really disorganized.
Yep.
They like to call themselves creative, but it isn't necessarily creative. If you're more nonlinear and just move from one thing to another without a sense of order or organization. And people who are more nonlinear find that mind mapping allows them to bring order to their imagination, that it respects the free-flowing, spontaneous nature of their thought, but it helps them bring it into usefulness, into order, so that they can actually implement all their wonderful ideas and prioritize them. Now, people who are more linear, and I tease my clients because I work with these kind of people. This is my largest audience, are engineers and scientists from big companies, and I tell them, I tell them, look, I'm going to give you your diagnosis. I tell them, you suffer from premature organization.
Okay.
And I explain to them that premature organization prevents conception.
Okay.
Mind mapping liberates these people from premature organization. It liberates them from the creativity stifling tendency to try to put your ideas in order before you've even generated them.
Yes.
So I teach them, and you know, what's so great is that when I was doing the research for how to think like Leonardo da Vinci, and I'm reading Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks, Leonardo gives this advice to his students, which now includes you and I and everybody who's sharing this conversation with us. Leonardo says in his notebooks, and you know what I really love about this is, here's maybe the greatest genius of all time. And the way he says this, do you ever go into a meeting and say to your colleagues, this may sound weird, but bear with me? Right? You made a little disclaimer. Well, here's Leonardo. He makes this disclaimer. He says, this may sound weird, but bear with me. And then these are his actual words. He says,
but he says it with an Italian accent.
He says it in Italian.
Right.
But then he says, you will nevertheless find it useful in quickening the spirit of invention. And he says the idea is this: you must look at abstract patterns like the smoke that emerges from a fire or the clouds in a sky. He says, let your mind go free. He says, you will see in these an infinity of things, divine landscapes, which you may then reduce to their complete and proper forms. So what's he saying? He's saying generate first, then organize. He's saying do a flight of fancy, let your imagination go wild, think of wonderful things, which you may then, afterwards, reduce to their complete and proper forms. In other words, generate first, then organize. Have a flight of fancy, think of as many ideas as you can, let your mind go, then organize them.